going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Monday, December 5th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. In the words of former New York Jets head coach Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. And if you're Brandon Curry, right now it looks like your guy is coming up aces in his attempt to play the size game. According to the latest reports from sources inside Brandon's camp, last week his weight was hovering somewhere around the 265-pound range, which would be a pretty significant jump on the scale in comparison to anything we've seen from him before. Now, granted, official updates from Brandon have been far and few between since the start of his prep, so we really don't have a true idea of where he is from a conditioning standpoint. But based on his history and the fact that he was lights out when he won the Arnold back in March, you'd imagine he's probably right where he needs to be. So if this bigger, newer, fuller version of Brandon shows up completely sliced and diced, he might be the only thing in this lineup who could actually give Ramy a run for his money. You know that I'm a big believer in doubling down on your strengths. If you have something you're good at, then you should probably lean into it, because the odds are that your strengths are going to be enough to give you a competitive advantage over somebody else's weaknesses in that right situation. And based on the latest updates from Vlad Shiroko's camp, that's exactly what he's been doing. Because I don't think we've ever seen him bigger or more shredded than he is right now. Recently on his podcast, Dennis James let it slip that Vlad was walking around somewhere north of 275 pounds, and also went on to say that pictures really didn't do justice to how insane that he looks in person. Now, whether or not the size and conditioning on their own are enough to give him a realistic shot at making the top 10 is another story altogether. But as long as he plays his game and understands what he can do better than everyone else, he should have a puncher's chance to make something happen once the judges start to get everything sorted out. There are certain people who are at their best when they're in the underdog role, where it feels like the odds are stacked against them. For one reason or another, certain people tend to thrive in those moments, and I think if you look at history, Blessing Awodibu definitely seems to fall into that category. Heading into his rookie year, there was a huge contingent of people out there who bet against him, and I'm sure they were probably delighted when he struggled out of the gate. And then heading into this year, there was a lot of that same energy circulating around as well, until he went out and shut everyone up with his wins at the Indy and New York Pros. And now that he's heading into his first Mr. Olympia competition, it's like Groundhog Day, because once again, there are people out there who are all but guaranteeing that he ends up falling flat. And just like he's done over and over again, Blessing seems to be thriving under the pressure, which means it's only a matter of time until he finds a way to silence all the doubters again. If you've been watching this show long enough, then you've probably heard me talk about one person or another checking all the boxes, or being a potential threat heading into one show or another. But right now, Terrence Ruffin might be beyond checking the boxes, because he looks so good right now that it's like he's been doubling and triple checking those bad boys ever since the start of his prep. It's probably not accurate to say that Terrence is trying to play the size game, because that's not really what classic physique is all about at the end of the day. But he's definitely added some quality size since we saw him last at the Arnold Classic, despite not necessarily sacrificing anything with his lines or conditioning. Realistically, Terrence is probably one of two guys in the classic physique lineup who have a chance to dethrone Chris Bumstead this year. So if he does his part to close the size gap, it's going to be one hell of a battle when those two end up standing shoulder to shoulder. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.